Sorry about the hand in front of the camera there for a second. You hit go, and if you're not 100% ready, it can be a challenge. I tried to check and see when I posted my last video, and I couldn't, I didn't take too much time to look at it, but wanted to check in and sort of give you a rundown of what I've been getting into in the recent past. I don't remember, well, I'll just go with what I do remember. Back at the beginning of May, I left Cape Fear Heating and Air Conditioning and took a installation supervisor position with Service Experts in Raleigh. And some of you may remember my video that I talked about, you know, my history up to the point when I made that video. And I actually worked for Service Experts almost 10 years ago. Maybe exactly 10 years ago. But there were several things that came into play regarding why I am no longer at Service Experts. Nothing serious, is more me and my tendency to strive for excellence in every aspect as best as I can. And I hope I'm getting pretty decent audio here. I didn't think to, yeah, it was somewhere around forever ago, Neil. But anyway, I resigned from the supervisory role at Service Experts and took a position with the current company that's on the hat, Building Air Services. It is a commercial service company out of Largo, Florida, and Nicholas Rowan, I see your comments on the text message. So yeah, it has been a little bit of a job hop, and I have been with Building Air Services for about 30 days or so. I took this position August 1st, and I'm back in the field as a technician, trying to get up to speed on commercial service. And it has been a challenge in a good way in some aspects, and it's been insanely aggravating in other aspects. The challenge in a good way is in regard to, you know, learning new things, being challenged to put my brain to work and figure out problems. As I'd mentioned in a video quite some time ago, I think it was, Are You Scared? I think it might have been a question of the day video way back at Cape Fear. But there have been some systems that I've played with while working here that I have no clue what I'm looking at, other than some kind of a ventilation or air conditioning system, and I've never touched one before. Never seen quite that application. Case in point would be the tandem compressors that I had some help on the other week. Replaced tandem compressors in an old York something or other. It was on my Facebook page, and I'd never seen a system with tandem compressors, but you know, it is not that bad. They both run when they need to, and I was able to get the compressors in. Did my first core dryer, and that was, you know, nothing complex, but it was an interesting learning experience in that regard. But the other thing that I ran into just earlier this morning was a VAV controller. I had a work order that said that someone else had diagnosed the system and said that there was a faulty supply air sensor. So I go and pick up a supply air sensor and show up to figure out what exactly is going on with this VAV. And I wanted to try to troubleshoot it before I replaced it, just because, you know, you don't know if the guy before you actually had any idea what he was doing. And that's in so many instances. But when you check the resistance on that air sensor and compare it to the resistance on the new air sensor, and they are very close, you know, within reasonable tolerance of each other, you would have to assume, or I would assume, despite the fact that assuming makes an ass out of you and me, that the sensor itself is not actually faulty. And so I replaced the sensor, since that's what the work order was for, and Googled the manual for that particular unit. It was an MP or 45 MP carrier VAV. And I was looking at the schematic for hooking up this supply air sensor, and the wiring of the current system did not match what the schematic showed for wiring, connecting the sensor to the terminals. So I had DC voltage across the air sensor terminals, and it was comparable to the DC voltage on the other air sensor on the return side, which was apparently functioning okay. I called into EMS, and they said that the return sensor was functioning, but the supply sensor was showing or not showing. So I fiddled around with it a little bit and tried to, you know, figure out what was going on, read through the manual while I'm crouched above this drop ceiling, and the manual says that if you get a 0.0 air temperature on your supply air sensor, that the most likely reason for that is that the sensor is not configured. That the terminals that the sensor connects to are not configured to actually receive a reading. So I tried to get a hold of carrier tech support to confirm how exactly you configure it, and I had no luck. 2 hours later, after I had left the job due to the fact that I was sitting on my thumbs, I get an email back from the local carrier rep, and he said, I'd be of little help, try to contact this guy. Gave me contact for another carrier rep that might be able to help me, and that was at about 2:30 this afternoon. It's now 5 o'clock, and I have yet to hear back from the second contact to confirm what needs to happen to configure that terminal. So that was aggravating, but at the same time a good challenge in that I learned some new things. So I didn't find a resolution to that as of yet. But what's frustrating is that in every job that I have had up to this point over the past few months, I've been able to take my propensity to excellence beyond the demands of the company for whatever time frame that they are trying to keep the job on. And I focused on doing the job right, regardless of the time. But here, I'm getting a lot of pushback on, actually doing a quality PM on these pieces of equipment, and it doesn't sit well with me. I've seen in several comments that I'm not going to try scrolling back to, but I am on the verge of launching into my own operation. Considering the state of the industry overall, I feel like there's a massive need for someone that does the job right, rather than shooting for the bottom of the food chain and just begging for scraps and jobs, and taking premium work, charging a premium price, and doing work the way it needs to. In that aspect, I plan to do primarily residential and home performance. In my conversations with Corbett Lunsford, the superstar of home performance, I feel like that is something that I would be very capable of taking on and maintaining a solid business venture there. At this moment, I don't have a specific time frame. I don't want to be in a position where I am not ethical in regards to my resignation, but I see it coming sooner than later. So that's sort of a rundown of the past few months. Not that I covered everything in much detail or whatever, but hey John, how's Israel HVAC doing down there? But I've been trying to find my niche here, and I'm not sure how how everything will play out, but I'm excited for the future, and I'm hoping that things will go well enough to keep my head above water for a while anyway. I wasn't trying to be a dick, Israel, Jesus. But anyway, I think that's probably enough at this point. I've got some things that I'd like to do with the channel going forward, but things have been difficult to find time for video production, period, much less editing anything after the fact. So anyway, I'm going to sign off for now. Alrighty, John, I appreciate that. You guys are doing a heck of a job with that podcast stuff. Something I don't think I'm going to try to get into. I got enough things on my plate as it is. But good to see that things are going well for the Working Joe's family over that way. Anyway, I really appreciate all the comments so far. I appreciate you guys watching, subscribing, liking, and sharing. And I guess it wouldn't be a Stephen Rardon video if I didn't say make sure you check out True Tech Tools and use the coupon code RARDON for 7% off. If you use that coupon code, it makes a huge difference to the channel. So I really appreciate it. You guys take care, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.